what's happening, pal?
How are you?
Everything's good. Everything's good. We got a great day today. We've got two guests.
Arthur Nascarella, who played Carlo Gervasi, who was... Arthur's an old friend of mine. We go way back, at least 30 years. He was a veteran NYPD.
And we have Angelo Massagli, who played Bobby Baccalieri III. He played my son on the show.
Oh, so you were junior. You were Bobby Jr., and he's the third.
Correct.
That's right, because Burt Young played Bobby Sr., Bobby the first.
And he started out in show business at a young age. I mean, we'll talk to him, but believe it or not, he is now an attorney. Little right. Bobby Jr., I'll call him, is an attorney. It's incredible how time flies.
It is incredible.
You know, and let's talk to him. Let's bring on my TV son, Angelo Massagli. Here he is. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great. How you guys doing?
Everything's okay. How old are you now?
I'm 28.
You're 28 years old. And when you started on The Sopranos, you were how old?
10.
10 years old.
10. Yeah, and you had already been acting for a while, right? You had already been acting quite a bit, right?
Yeah, I had been acting since 96, before I started Sopranos. I did a lot of commercial work and some television work. And then right around, I'm going to say early 2000s, when I booked Sopranos and School of Rock at the same time. And that was really big for me. And I started doing some, bigger spots from there. But yeah, I'd been acting for a while.
School of Rock was a big movie for you. Everyone knows you from there. And you did a Cosby?
I did. I was on Cosby. It wasn't the original with Theo and Theo Huxtable and that whole show. It was something called Cosby. He started in '96, and I think I did between 7 to 10 episodes of that, if not more. I was on for about 2 seasons, and I got a lot of run from that. He had me do a lot of the press tours for him, so I got a lot of exposure through that.
And did you work with him?
I played. So the premise of the show is he lived next to a kindergarten, and I was one of the kids in the kindergarten. And I originally was only booked for one show, and I was going to be on and kind of play as an extra as a kid at the kindergarten. And just by one way or another, he liked my character, and he built out a role. My character was named Angelo, and he built out a role, and I was on for about 2 seasons after that. And it was just this, little smart-ass kid that came in for comedic relief.
Did he offer you a drink by any chance, Bill Cosby?
No. He was well behaved.
He didn't say, "Come up to my hotel room and we'll talk about your career." He didn't do that to you?
No, I left unscathed.
And so you worked with him a lot? Did you work with Bill?
I did. Yeah, I did a lot with him.
And you enjoyed that?
I did a lot with Yeah, I mean, that time with him was great. He liked it that I was able to ad lib with him. We would be sometimes in front of a live studio audience, and I would memorize my lines to a T, and he would just deviate. He would throw something weird at me, and I'd be able to keep up with him and go back and forth. And that's what kind of bought me some more time on that show. And through him, I had a lot of fun. I did Letterman twice promoting that show. I did Regis and Kathy Lee at the time. I did Rosie O'Donnell. I was 4 or 5 years old, and he had me do the whole press tour for that show.
Wow.
And that actually did a lot for me going forward to kind of accelerate some of the jobs I got from there.
Wow. And now how did you, tell me about your soprano audition? Did you audition once, twice? How'd that come about?
Yeah, so at that time I was doing a lot of auditioning. In between school, I would probably be in the city 2 to 3 times a week, different auditions. And I think for Sopranos, it was like most of my other auditions. There'd be a first call. I'd go in. There'd be a bunch of kids there, and we'd go against each other. And then there's the call back, and then there usually was like a third interview. And I was young at the time, so it's kind of fuzzy. But I think it was around the second or third, the second or third audition where I got the call to say that I got it.
Where did you grow up, Angelo?
I grew up in Mayapack, New York. It's in
Oh
Putnam
yeah,
County.
I know that. Yeah, I lived in
Hmm.
Brewster at one time, right near there. We used to play against
Oh,
Mayapack a lot, in lacrosse and soccer and stuff like that. I know Mayapack. I had cousins there too. I think they still may be there. But and so how did you get into acting though? Like was your family into it, or other kids or other siblings or your parents?
no, it was just me. I kind of had a personality when I was a kid, and I was able to, I was able to kind of hold a room, and my parents thought it would be a good idea to maybe get me an agent and see what would happen. So I got an agent, and when I was 4 years old, and my first job was a Ziploc commercial. I started with Ziploc, and then from there I did a bunch of other commercials: Tropicana, AT&T, a whole list of them, and I just kind of gained some steam, and that was it. I was the first in my family to take that route.
So what did you? So do you remember anything about the David Chase audition when you went in the room? Were you comfortable? Were you nervous, or you were too young to even realize?
At the time, I mean, Sopranos had already been on for a couple seasons, so I knew how important the show was. I don't remember the interview with David as much as the audition with David as much as I do my time on set with him, to be honest.
And how come you haven't continued on? Did you try acting after The Sopranos? Did you just quit? What's up?
Well, I
Yeah,
have a quote
so
from Us Weekly. It says, after several years of working with Mr. Schirripa, I realized show business was not for me. Can you
yeah, I'm
elaborate
not
on
cut
that?
out for it. Yeah. That was after a tough couple seasons. I had to pull the plug. But yeah, I mean, it wasn't.
Was it because I asked you to sit on my lap all the time? Was that it?
Uh,
Come
Too
here,
deep,
Edge.
Dad.
Come sit over here, Edge.
I had enough. I had enough. I was gonna do a whole expose in the New York Times, but I decided to stay silent. Um, but yeah, no, I acted up until I was 18. So after The Sopranos, I did a couple more small spots on different TV shows. And then when I hit 18, I just kind of made a decision. I was thinking to myself whether I wanted to completely commit to acting and go 110% or decide on a backup plan. And I ended up deciding to go to school and I just pulled out of acting completely, but I knew I didn't want to leave entertainment. So everything I did, I tried to find a role for myself in the industry, but just not in front of the camera anymore.
So you're an entertainment lawyer. You're a business manager. What exactly you do now, if you don't mind me asking?
Yes. Yeah, no problem. Yeah, so I graduated from U Miami Law, 2019. I passed the New York bar, so I'm here in New York. I'm a licensed attorney, and I'm actually starting a new job tomorrow. I'm working with Sony Music. I'm gonna be an in-house attorney at Sony Music.
Wow, that's fantastic.
that's
Good for you.
fantastic, man. Congratulations.
Congrats.
Thank
So,
you.
so Ange, so most of the time you were on the set, you worked with me. You had two different sisters on the show,
Right.
right? Two different Sophias. Uh, and then you worked with Aida, Janice, and you worked with Jim a lot. So what do you remember? You remember anything from that time? The interaction with Jim. I know Jim loved you.
Yeah, no, I remember a lot because a lot of the scenes that I did, it was either family dinner scenes, so I was always with a lot of the family, including Jim. And another big scene that I did with him was the Ouija board scene, where me and AJ kind of go at it because he's trying to summon my mother and he freaks me out. But I remember the first time I met James on set, we were filming a scene, and I have a little line when I just come in and say that Junior doesn't have cable, something like that. I'm complaining that he's got
Yeah.
nothing on TV, and there was a lot of downtime. And I remember talking to him and trying to make conversation. I remember asking him, who's your favorite actor actor and actress? And he goes, my favorite actress is Edie Falco. And at the time, I had no idea who Edie was because I had just started. It was my first day. So I went, I'm like, Ma, who's Edie Falco? I never heard of Edie Falco. She's like, Ange, she's on the show with you. You have to know this stuff. But he was great. I mean, he was very, he never talked down to you. If you were a kid, everything was on the level. He was a great guy and got a lot of good tips from him too.
And when he said his favorite actor, it was me, right, Ange?
Of course,
It was me, right?
right?
It wasn't Michael. He said Steve Schirripa. Is that what he said?
Yeah, that's what he said. And he pulled me aside later. He said, "Listen, I just, don't tell anybody,
Wow. What was the last episode you were in? Do you remember for The Sopranos?
I was on the very last episode. I think it was
You were.
right after my father was, unfortunately, he had unfortunately been killed, and the last scene that I was in, we're in Johnny Sack's old house, and we're just, my sister and I are distraught, and that's kind of how my character closes out. It's like right after we get the
So,
bad news, I think.
so you were on for how many seasons altogether? So like, you came on in season 3 or 4?
Four.
I came on in 4, and then was all the way to the end.
Wow. So you
And
did
you
a
did
lot.
what? 20-something episodes, right?
Yeah. I'd say that's about right. Maybe like 15 to 20 episodes.
18 episodes. You did 18
There you go.
episodes. Any favorite memory, Ange, from the show? Anything that sticks out?
Favorite memory. One tip that James gave me one time at a dinner scene was, if you can avoid it, try not to take a bite of food while you're at the dinner scene, because if they catch you in one angle where you're taking a bite for continuity, they're going to have you take a bite for the rest of the day.
All right.
So I remember we filmed this scene in, I think we were doing it was the street fair in Jersey City, and I had a bag of Zapalas, and I made the mistake of taking a bite of one in the first angle or the first shot of the day, and they checked it, closed it, it was good, and I had to eat Zapalas for the rest of the day. I must have had 150 Zapalas that day, sick to my stomach, and they're like, you have to keep eating. You got that bite in. And he was in that scene too, and I remember him looking at me, kind of just like, I told you, it's just a day one tip. Move your food around. Don't eat it. Move your food around unless you have to,
Nobody ever told me that. Nobody ever gave
Jimmy
me that
didn't
tip.
follow that either. Jimmy was eating all the time on scenes. Like
It's funny.
I think he was required to. I think they really kind of wanted him to be eating a lot, and it wasn't an option per se.
Right. As opposed to just pushing the food around. I mean, sometimes, because when I look back at the show, sometimes I'll see him just kind of cutting or moving the food around and something like that. I always remember that. I don't know why that sticks with me.
And did you talk to David much? David Chase?
Yeah, David. An interesting relationship with David. He's a great guy. He actually wrote my letter of recommendation for undergrad to get in. He was a reference of mine. He wrote this beautiful letter.
Oh, that's really cool.
Wow.
Yeah, I remember I reached out to him because I just thought if anyone could vouch for me and who I was as a professional, he could do it. And he wrote it for me, and forever grateful for that. It's something my family and I cherish. My dad actually has the letter like framed in his house. He loves it. But David Chase, coming on the show at 10 years old, I wasn't expecting to be respected as much as I did, not just from David, but the whole cast in total. Everyone treated you like a professional. Everyone took your opinion seriously. It wasn't like being talked down to like a little kid. And I really appreciated that. I remember just because I was interested in show business, I always asked him questions behind the scenes, and he would always take the time. He never shoo me away. He always answered my questions, gave me detailed answers and great insight. I remember when we were auditioning for the second Sophia, he actually brought me into the room to sit in with the audition to get my opinion of how I felt with her, which of the actresses felt most natural to me, who I thought could fill that role. At that time, I was maybe 11 or 12 years old, and for him to just give me that type of weight in that conversation where he could have easily just picked somebody, I think it's just a testament to his attention to detail and how he just cared for everyone on set.
When did you start watching the show?
I actually watched the show in its entirety for the first time when I was living down in Miami about 2 years ago. I had never watched it in its entirety.
But you had seen your stuff here and there, but what? How?
Yeah, so at the time I was young, so my parents would watch on Sundays, and I'd be waiting in my room, down the hall, and they would be like, "And you're on." I would come running in, and I would watch my scene. and then like it would cut to the Bing, and I was like, I had to run out, like get out of here, get out of here, whatever. So I never really watched the show in its entirety until very recently. And I watched it with my girlfriend. We watched it all the way through, and just you pick up the little details and the things you remember. It's really excellent.
What'd you think of the show when you watched it, like as a whole?
It's so. I mean, I'm almost happy that I waited till I was later in life to watch the show. As opposed to maybe being in high school or earlier in college, because I think if you have a really discernible eye, you can catch a lot of things. You pick up a lot of references, and just with time, you're able to see the amount of detail that goes into this show, and the acting, and and just the artistry of it. I'm actually happy that I watched it for the first time when I did.
We talked about, when AJ locks you in Furio's garage, that actually happened to David Chase when he was a kid. I don't know if you knew that or not.
I didn't know that at all. That's funny. That's funny.
Yeah.
He always whoever wrote, I don't remember who wrote a lot of the episodes that I was in, or like those key scenes, but they always gave me some good memorable scenes throughout my time with the garage and the Ouija board. Those are the two I always hear about when people ask me about the show that they remember. Those are fun.
When you were on the show, so you started out, you were 9 or 10 when you started on the show.
10.
Did you know what the show was about?
I did. Yeah, I did. I had an idea about it. Yeah, I mean, my family had watched the show. I mean, I come from a Italian American family myself, so it was very popular in the house. Popular in the town that I grew up in. There's a lot of Italians in Mayapack. So it was a popular show, and it was definitely it was a point of conversation when I got the role, for sure. I mean, people even in the town, half of them were excited, and the other half like, "Are you sure? Are you sure you want your son to be on this show?" And it was interesting to see the reception that came from it, both positive and negative. But it definitely made a little bit of a ripple when I first got it.
Did you get recognized a lot when you were a kid?
Early on, mostly for Bobby Jr. more than anything. I remember one time we were filming The Sopranos. No, I'm sorry, we were filming School of Rock, and they had us staying at the Intercontinental off of Park Ave in Manhattan. That's where all the kids stood while we were filming that movie. And I was going outside, I think, for an early call, and someone drove by in a car and leaned out the window. "Hey, Bobby Jr., what are you doing?" Like right in the middle of the street. And definitely, if I got recognized for anything, it was Bobby Jr. more than anything.
And what about now? Do they recognize you still?
I mean, I still got the baby face a little bit, so sometimes people do. I try to grow the beard out to hide a little bit, but I mean, it gets less and less as time goes on.
That's great, man.
What was the last acting role you did?
Good question. I can't remember the name of the show. When I was 18, I did a small spot. After a while, definitely after The Sopranos, I noticed that the auditions I was getting were for a bully, or like a husky bully. That was always the description for everything that I did. And I think I played that role to its extent through my teenage years through to high school. And that was the last thing that I did. I was a bully in school, and I was beating up on this kid, and he gets his revenge on me. I can't remember the show for the life of me, but I remember like that was the last thing that I had done, and I feel like I played that role out to its fullest extent, and that's when I kind of walked away from it.
Well, I got to tell you, 50 years from now, they'll still be looking at you as Bobby Jr., and you're going to go down in forever. You'll be famous forever, Ange, and I'm very, very proud of you becoming an attorney. I really am, and good luck with the new job. And it's good to know me and Michael have the same business manager attorney, Roger Haber, and now he has to stay on his toes because Michael will fucking fire him and we'll hire Angelo in case anything.
Hey, listen, I'm always here for you guys.
Well, Steve might be shopping for a record deal, so he may call you over at Sony. His album's almost finished.
Yeah,
It's a cover song. It's psychedelic cover songs from the 60s. It's really good.
That's exactly what I would expect for him.
Spoken word. It's spoken word. Steve Schirripa motherfucks the world. I'm very proud of you. Tell your parents hello for me, please. And you be well, my friend. Thanks for doing this. Great seeing you.
Well. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Ange.
Thanks, Angelo. Take care.
See you, buddy.
Fantastic.
That was great. I'm very proud of him. Look at that. Look at that.
Great.
Good for him. Now he's gonna really made something of himself. It's good not to see two fuck ups doing a podcast.
Yes, yeah. The moral of the story is,
well, you know what's
you're ahead.
You know what's great? We have another guest today.
We have another guest today who's I've known we go way back. Arthur Nascarella played Carlo Gervasi. Arthur I've known for about over 30 years, I think. I think we met on Handgun. We worked together on The Run, Summer of Sam. We've been friends for a long time. He was a 21-year veteran NYPD. Was undercover and detective. He's helped me when I did Life on Mars. I played a detective, a New York detective in the 70s, and he was, very helpful, giving me some background info on what it was like at the time. And he's a great actor.
Oh, he's great.
Really
he's done a ton of stuff. He also busted Abby Hoffman at the Waldorf
Astoria. I want to ask him all about that.
He was undercover. He just worked with me on Blue Bloods. I just got to work with Arthur recently on Blue Bloods. He did an episode, and he was great as always. And he's a dear, dear friend. And
we're going to take a break and bring him on right after.
All right. Very good.
We're back. Our next guest, like I said, is a longtime friend, a very dear friend, and a great actor. 21-year veteran of the NYPD, has appeared in over 80 different films and TV shows, including Copland, Summer of Sam, Bringing Out the Dead, Billions, Blue Bloods, Black Klansman, Cabaret Maxime, Life on Mars, Law and Order, and of course The Sopranos, where he did 28 episodes as Carlo Gervasi. Please welcome our very dear friend Arthur Nascarella.
There he is, Arthur.
Thank you. My two best friends in show business.
Good to see you, pal.
Talented. Good to see you. By my beautiful Stephen. How are you, darling?
Good to see you. Terrific.
Mikey,
you look great.
I haven't seen you.
You look great.
Mikey, I haven't seen you. We talk on the phone, but I haven't seen you in a long time. I'm so glad to see you.
Not in a long time.
You look great. And Stephen, you and
I'll be
I
there
just got over too. Are you coming to New York?
I'm moving back, yeah. Very soon.
Two of my best friends in show business, and I can't be more pleased for the both of you. I mean, you
thank
talk
you.
about good things happening for good people. There you go, pals. Believe me.
Oh, thank you, Arthur.
God bless you both.
I'm doing well in spite of Michael trying to fucking bring me down.
Yes.
That's Mikey.
Arthur, so I don't know you as long as Michael does, but I know you. It's a good 20 years now.
Sure.
Tell me, you were bring me back. Now you were a Marine, then you became a New York City detective. Let's go back. So how'd you get into? How'd you decide? I know you used to do stand-up comedy. How'd you get into the act?
Stevie, I'll tell you the truth. The acting was a pure fluke. I came off the job, 21 years at the New York City Police Department. I retired, and I got a job with the Tisch family, who was kind enough to hire me to work and to live at the Regency Hotel, 540 Park Avenue. And I was there for a good couple of years, running security for them, and became in charge of guest services. And I hired a couple of friends of mine from the police department to take over the security duties. Make a long story short, someone sent a photograph of me to a guy producing a movie in the city. And the guy started calling me up and offering me or asking me to come down and audition for a film. And I put the man off for 2 solid weeks. I had no intention. I mean, I was living for free at the Regency. The food was free, dry cleaning, parking, salary, everything. Why did I want to become an actor? But the guy was a lovely guy. And 2 weeks later, I went and auditioned for him for a movie called Mingus Alley, which is a SAG film. And I got the part. I mean, he hired me. I did this big extravagant ad-lib scene for him. And he hired me. I didn't realize, not being in the business, I didn't realize I was in a full-blown casting session. When I walked in here, I sat down here with 20 people standing around. And the woman says to me, "What's your age range?" And I said, "Well, I mean, I'm 46 years old, so I guess that last year my range was 45, and next year my range would be 47. This year my range is 46." I don't know what she was talking about. P.S.
What year was that? What year was that? Your first
Mikey, it's
role?
30 years ago. 30. I was
30 years
46.
ago.
I'm 76. It's 30 years ago. And
Okay.
that's the first time I stepped in front of a camera. I wound up doing that film with the guy. I met Vinny Pastore there. Vinny Pastore, and we were friends. We came back to New York. Vinny was doing a movie with Frank Reno. You remember Frank Reno, Mikey?
Sure.
Used to do independent movies in the city. He was doing a movie. "Why don't you come down? Maybe you'll be an extra." Frankie Reno, who I'm still very close friends with these days, Frankie Reno saw me and he asked me if I could speak English. And when I said I could, he upgraded me and gave me a part in the movie. So, and I said to myself, look, if I could do it once, it was a fluke. If I could do it twice, maybe I could make a living in this field. And just the way things turned out, I mean, I got Tony Cucci, who was also on that first movie. Tony Cucci, for Sopranos fans, is the guy
Was
that
on
I
The
stand
Sopranos.
protecting. Remember Fat Dom on The Sopranos? That's Tony
Fat
Cucci.
Dom, yeah.
Wonderful character, terrific scene. Could have never happened without the generosity of that man letting me and Steve Van Zandt literally beat the ass off of for 3 days to do that scene. I mean, what a generous actor Tony Cucci was. But Cucci and I had also met on that movie. But Cucci was going up for a pub. Schulberg had rewrote On the Waterfront for the stage. Cucci was going up to audition and said to me, "Why don't you come with me?" And I went there, and the lady that was casting was the daughter of a detective that I worked with in the 23rd Precinct. Actually, I didn't work with him. He was one of the guys, the cops in the precinct, they used to beat the shit out of me when I was a kid growing up in Spanish Harlem. His name was Vinny Malerba. The daughter's name was Catherine Malerba. And when I said I knew her father, boom, she cast me in the play. That's just how my luck runs in this business.
So
But I read a book recently, right? And I want to bring this back to acting because it goes in. I was reading the Run, 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 Abby Hoffman's story written by his brother, Abby's brother, and my friend Dan Simon. Dan Simon, who runs 7 Stories, is a friend of mine. And you're featured a big chapter. You actually arrested Abby in the coke bust, right?
I did 3 pounds of coke.
And I want to make this connection because Arthur is one of the best improvisers I've ever worked with. We've done several scenes together in On the Run and Cabaret Maxime and on The Sopranos. But when you let loose, when you don't have to stick to script, you really come up with very inventive and creative dialogue and moments. And how much of that? But I'm saying you had to do that as a cop. You're kind of acting a role. You're not. You were undercover. You were in costume. You were acting a role, and it was all improv. Do you make that connection? Do you make that connection between what you did then and being it's a lot safer being an actor because someone's not going to pull a gun out and blow your head off, which can happen.
And the prices are a lot better too.
Yeah, exactly.
Michael, no, you're 100% right, sweetheart. Look, I was an undercover for 17 years in the police department. I was 3 years in a radio car. Up in Spanish Harlem. The precinct that I grew up in, the 23rd Precinct, is the precinct that they sent me back to. And I was patrolled my own block, literally my own block, 100th Street between 1st and 2nd Avenue. But my radio car partners were Bob Gianelli, who retired as the chief of patrol. God rest his soul.
Oh, I know.
And
he was a good guy.
You know Bobby Gianelli.
Yes.
You've met Bobby Gianelli.
I met him.
And another very close friend, a dear friend, just back from Vietnam, who had just became a sergeant by the name of Ray Kelly. Who become everybody know Ray Kelly is, our Ray Kelly, police commissioner Ray Kelly. Was one of my dearest and oldest and a wonderful cop, believe me when I tell you, a damn good street cop. But when I went to the narcotics, those were the 3 years I spent in I went to the narcotics division. And I became an undercover. I spent 17 years buying drugs. That's what I did for a living. And yes, Mikey, I opened every night and I was hit every night. Otherwise, I wouldn't be telling you these stories. You understand? It had a very lot to do with you ad-libbed, people threw lines at you all the time. People insisted that you did drugs with them all the time. Of course, I always refused to do. Well, look, when Pacino came out with the line "Don't get high on your own supply" in Scarface, I have been doing that line for six, 7 years already. You understand? I mean, I was, it wasn't my thing. 17 years I did it, and it certainly helped my living. And thank you for your kind words as it relates to that.
So Arthur, fast forward, your audition. So you're working as an actor, and here comes The Sopranos. Did you audition when the show was first starting? Did you audition for other characters? Tell me how that happened.
Okay. All right. First of all, Stevie, I think you and I had this conversation, and just briefly once before. When I heard there was a show coming out called The Sopranos, or a show was being cast called The Sopranos, I immediately took myself, out of the runnings because I'm not a singer. I mean, that's, as I said to you, it's cliche, but it is the truth. I mean, I went to Sopranos. I mean, I'm not a singer. What the hell do I know? What am I going to do on The Sopranos? P.S. It turns out to be what it is. I believe that I was with Writers and Artists, who was my agent at the time in the city. I had gotten that agent right after I did Copland. I got an agent. They sent me for the audition. I was also at that time, I was running my own PI business, my own bodyguard firm, and I had the royal family of Monaco in New York. The whole family was in, and I did the body work on them for about 9 years whenever they were in New York City. But this was one of the times they did. Anyway, they call me up and they say, okay, The Sopranos, we have an audition for The Sopranos. All right. The character was Big Pussy. I went, okay, great. I mean, of course, this doesn't rhyme to anybody yet. Nobody knows what Big Pussy is, but okay, fine. I went down to audition. Mikey, you remember Lucky Strike down there on Spring Street? Remember the gym, the Lucky Strike? And
Grand Street. It's still there. It's Lucky
Strike
Strike's still there.
All right, good. Yeah,
on
yeah,
Grand
down
Street.
that neighborhood. The audition was in a place called Teddy's, which is like right in a block away from there. You remember that restaurant, Teddy's?
Teddy's was on, actually, it was West Broadway and on White Street.
Exactly. Yeah. There you go. Okay, well, it was upstairs at Teddy's was where the audition was, okay? I went in, I met David Chase. This is, I mean, as far as I can remember, I meet Chase. What it really was is that he wanted a guy that was Big Pussy. I mean, we know who Big Pussy turned out to be and what Big Pussy looks like. I was about 160 pounds at the time, and I was not Big Pussy. So that was the end of that part. But Vinny and I were still very close friends. So Vinny got the part, which was wonderful. The show began. You guys started shooting. Mikey, I don't know if you remember this. Do you remember? It might have been one of the first episodes where you were driving with Jimmy backwards and you crashed the car and you had to go for driving lessons.
It was like my first day on the job. Yeah.
Do you remember me? Do you remember me and you sitting together on the bench in front of the laundromat on 7th Avenue by Seal Rouge, waiting for the guy to come and pick you up for your first driving lesson?
Yes, I do.
That was the first day of the pilot. With that hot shit, me and you were sitting here together,
and you were on the bench.
You were going backwards. You crashed the car on the first day. But anyway, all right, get back to me. All right. So, anyways, all right. So I didn't get that part. All right. So then. I get another call. All right, they wanted me to go for Jack. Stevie, you straighten me out in the names. Is it Jackie Aprile? The guy. What do you call it? The part that
Michael Rispoli.
That Mikey Rispoli killed. Right. He was in the hospital. He was the former boss before Jimmy. Okay, I went up for that part. I don't know what the time frame was. I don't remember. I guess that's still the first season, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I went up for that. So, I mean, all right, so I sat there and croaked. I was sick. I did the best I could with all of that stuff. P.S. Michael Rispoli got the part. All right, next. Then, all right, they call me again. All right, now this time it's for the strangled guy. Remember the strangled when Tony's taking Tony
Ray Rossi.
Out.
Tony Ray Rossi.
There you go, Tony Rossi. God bless Tony. Actually, all right, so I go up to audition for that. Now, all right, now I'm strangled. I'm doing the fucking lines. I'm getting killed. I'm doing Tony Rossi. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, P.S. I don't get that one. Tony Rossi gets the part. And Tony Rossi did it. Michael Rispoli, they both did terrific work on it. Come on.
Very good.
If you remember this, when you guys won the first Emmy, David Chase on stage gave a shout out to Tony Ray Rossi on his own. I don't know if you remember
Wow.
that. Tony, he on the stage,
Oh, yeah,
he
Tony
said,
did a great job. Tony was great.
I want to personally, right. I want to personally thank Tony Rossi for that great job that he did. All right, P.S. I didn't get strangled. Okay. So now the time goes past, the time goes on. And Chase says to me, I'm sorry, Chase says to me, Arthur, now that I'm seeing you, I say, I got to be honest with you, I'm not going to give you a part. I'm going to give you a part that's going to have an arch. You know, what do you call it, Mikey?
An arc,
you know,
arc.
An arc. There you go. Yeah, you're gonna have an arc. It's gonna be. I don't want you to get killed in one episode. I said, all right, whatever you want to do, David. That's fine with me. All right. P.S. 3 years goes by. Now I'm in California. I'm doing X-Files. The phone rings in the hotel room. Our David Chase wants to see you. All right. All right. As soon as you get back, you got to go see Chase again. Great. They send me sides. The sides are literally. I mean, they might have been, Martian. I can't even really tell you what they were. They were just a series of like about 500 words that kind of strung together. And if I must say, I think what he was trying to do was see if I could, or if I would, predicate on our first go around where I wasn't off book, if I would get off book for this. Okay, so P.S. I come back from doing X-Files. I come back to the city. I go to see David Chase. I sit down with him. I'm ready. I'm loaded for bed now. Come on, The Sopranos is up and running. Vinny's eating free pizza. I got to get on this show. So, Vinny was, wait a minute. I'm down. I'm shooting something on Mulberry Street. I'm shooting another thing. Vinny comes down to the set. You got to come with me. You got to see this. You got to see this. That's why. We go into a pizza parlor. He says to the guy, give me 2 slices. The guy gives it 2 slices. We go to pay. The guy goes, no. Vinny looks at me. How you like that? We got free pizza. I want that. I sit down with Chase. I look at Chase. Chase is with some guy. I don't know who the guy was. A little short, bald-headed man. I still, to this day, I never saw the guy before or after. I say to David, listen, David, before I audition for you, can I ask you a personal question as one artist to another? He says, yeah, sure, Arthur. I go, David, am I aging well? Because when I first came here, I was a child. I was a mere child when I came here to audition for you originally. Yeah, you understand? I mean, how am I doing? How do I look? All right, because I was no kid when I started this music. By that time I was 50 years old. So anyway, I nailed it, and he went, okay, now you got the part. So I went home. I told my wife, my beauty, my Vicky. I love my Vicky. She says to me, did you get the part? Yeah. What's the name? I said Carlos. She looked at me. She goes, "Oh, that's an Italian show. You can't be Carlos. Maybe it was Carlo."
Carlo.
I took for granted it was a Puerto Rican guy. All right, I'll tell you, funny. When the first day, now Stevie, you straightened me out on what day it was that I went there. I always thought my first day was the Pile My sequence in Monmouth Park, but you told me.
No, you were there before. You come earlier. Yeah.
All right. I could just say this on the first day that I got there, I went into the dressing room and I got dressed. And as an actor, who needs it? Pussy had just wound up in the Hudson River, wherever they threw him on the show. He wound up going off the boat. I go in my dressing room and they got 2 big white shoes there for me. And inside the shoes, it says Big Pussy. So now he's dead already. And I got to wear his shoes in my first episode. Why don't you leave a fucking black cat in here?
That's funny. Yeah, Arthur comes on. Arthur, your first scene was when Tony comes in and he's giving the guys a pep talk about my uncle needs money. I'm depressed, and Ralphie's there. That's the first time we see you. All the guys are there, and he's telling them they need to kick up more. We need more money. I'm depressed. That's the first time we see you. Mm-hmm. Now, you worked with Jim a lot, and Jim loved you as a person and as an actor.
We're very good friends. Yeah.
What was that like working with Jimmy? Tell me about that.
Well, look, I think, my whole relationship with him, first of all, we liked each other right away. The first day I ever met him, or that I can remember meeting him, was at the bar in the hotel we stayed in when we were doing Pile My. I walked into they made me take a bus there. I got off the bus. I got in my room. I went to the bar for a drink. There was a pole right next to me. On the other side of that pole walks up a man. It's Jimmy Gandolfini. I said, hey, hello, how are you? And I said to him, let me buy you a drink. He said, no, let me buy you a drink. And I looked at him, I says, hey, Gugoots, let me buy you a drink. And he looked at me, he says, that's what my father always calls me, Gugut. That means like a squash in Italian. He said, my father always calls me that. That was the beginning of our friendship. We had a few drinks and we went from there. All the time I worked with him, I always had in mind, the name of the show was not the Nascarellas. It was the Sopranos. You understand? He's the star of the show. I'm just a guy that works there to make things, I'm a character actor by trade. That's what I do. I mean, I make the script move forward, the story move forward. I make a problem for the protagonist, or I solve a problem. Suddenly, that's what I do. I'm not the star. I mean, I always knew at 46 going into this business, I was never going to get the girl. I was never going to be the star. I was always going to just be what I do. And I've been doing it for 30 years. I mean, I'm just saying no complaint, man. This is just, I knew where I was in the world. And Jimmy knew that I knew where I was in the world. You know what I mean? I wasn't taking over none. I was just going to do the best job I could for what they would give me. And again, remember a few things. When I come on the show, it was the 4th season. You people were a highly established show, highly. I mean, I got to tell you, it was an international hit, the show. I come on now, you're listening to what I sound like. Remember, I'm about one ant or one O away from Paulie Walnuts or Stevie V's aunt. Okay, I mean, I sound the same as them. I gotta be, So I had to be my own guy. Seriously, you had to find a niche in there for yourself because these guys were there. Everybody knew them already. So I had to come in a little lower, a little somewhere different than what they sounded like. But when I worked head to head with Jimmy, it was always with a lot of deference because he's the head of the family. He is Tony Soprano. I'm not. And, he always liked that about me, that, we had that kind of a friendship. But Michael, you and me did a lot of scenes with it. Jimmy taught us a lot of stuff. I mean, the drinking the water, don't smoke the cigar. You remember that night we were in the parking lot trying to remember, it was late at night. It was the 3 of us. We were smoking cigars and drink. And we're trying to do a scene. And you know what I mean? He says, all right, everybody put the cigars down, drink water, and we banged the scene out. The lines came to us again, But no, it was a very, very wonderful friendship between he and I. And he was very generous to me. And Stevie, you know how that all ended for me with him.
Well, we did the concert for Sandy.
It was
we did the 12-12-12.
Right, 12-12-12 concert.
And then Jim came up to you and told you he wanted you on the night of. On the HBO
but I didn't know about that. Yeah. I didn't know about that. See, you came up to me, and you said, even before we got there that night, you said to me, the word in the street is that Jimmy wants to talk to you about something. You didn't tell me what it was. You just had told me it's something he wanted to talk to you about. I said, all right, fine. So we were all going to the concert. We were all on the phones, answering the phones, and talking to the people and taking their contributions to the charity. Exactly. And so then Jimmy came in, and I saw him. You remember we were up in the balcony. He came across to me. We had a vodka together, and he says to me, "What are you doing for the next couple of years?" And I went, "I don't know. What do you want to do? You know what I mean? We want to go eat for a long time. We used to go to and have the Angry Lobster. What was the place, Steve?
Ponte's.
Yeah, exactly. Me and him used to go and have that Angry Lobster all the time together. Me and Jimmy. I said, what do you want to go have, like a really long lobster together? What are you talking about? He told me about the show. He says, in all the scenes we've always done together, you have never one time tried to take it away from me. He said, I want you on that show with me. So if you're going to be available the next few years, I want you to do the show with me. I said, Jimmy, I'll do whatever you want me to do. Don't be ridiculous. I would love to do that with you. I mean, we didn't talk no specifics of anything. And I didn't know that actually he had it in a can. I mean, he had the pilot in a can. He was producing it. I didn't know any of that yet.
Yeah.
I never found out about it because God bless his soul, shortly after that, he was gone.
You know what would have been a good look for you to be different? What do you think of this, Michael? If you would have had gray hair with black wings, you would have been like the opposite of Paulie. What do you think, Michael? Would that have worked?
I don't think
it would have been the opposite. He would have been like the Bizarro Paulie. Bizarro Paulie.
Exactly. And you forget my honorable discharge. I throw in the garbage from the Marines, and the 21 years from the police department throwing the garbage.
Instead of going, you could have went, the Bizarro Paulie.
Steve, when you started doing that, you know what you do to me with that. He can do Paulie Walnuts better than Paulie Walnuts. Believe me with that. You're so funny, Steve. He's so funny.
Arthur, of
Yeah.
everything, what is your favorite memory of being on the show? What's your favorite memory that it's not an easy question, but because there were so many good ones. But what stands out to you?
What stands out to me, frankly, is having been able to bring my wife out to California with all of you guys who, by the end of it all, now it was 4 years I was on the show, 4 seasons, to be able to go out there with all of you, to go on the red carpet twice in a row. Remember, we went in January for the Emmy and won, and have that experience, and then go back a month or two later and then win the Screen Actors Guild Award, and myself personally go home with a statue. Yeah. I mean, that's a fucking. I got the statue. I'm looking at it right now. She's got a Santa Claus hanging on it. She dresses it up. But I mean, come on, man. I mean, that's a guy who started a business at 46 years old with no training. I went for one acting class with Big Pussy. I was crawling around on the floor in a filthy loft there, above the Cafe Wa, Mikey, on McDougal.
On
He's
McDougal
got me on
Street?
the floor. I'm McDougal, the Cafe Wa upstairs. There was a playhouse, whatever the hell it is. I'm crawling around on the floor. I got $300 pants on, a $200 shirt, $500 shoes, and I'm supposed to be a snake. And he goes by me, and he's a bear. He's going by me.
Vinny?
Vinny, I looked up at him. I said, let me tell you something. When this class is over, I'm going to break your fucking nose. You understand? That was the only class I ever went to. And here I am on stage getting a Screen Actors Guild Award. I mean, it was quite a trip.
Yeah.
Also, the trip for the finale when we all flew down to Hollywood, Florida, to the Hard Rock.
Oh, you remember that?
Remember that red carpet when we arrived? I never saw nothing like that.
It was 10,000 people there. 10,000 people showed up.
Well, look, we all know what happened that day. There were 10,000 people, and there were 8 security guards. I mean, I'm in security. I know what happened. That they ran for the hills, those guys. We got attacked. I had 3 cigars in my inside pocket that wound up to be just loose tobacco. Remember, Stevie Van Zandt is in the freaking East Street Band. He knows crowds. He says, that's never happened to me in my whole professional life.
Yeah,
I mean, we got mobbed. We were lucky we didn't get killed there that day. I mean, it was wild. It was fun, but I mean, it was completely unconstructed, man. I mean, it was attack us, we had a good time, though, right?
You talk about the SAG Award, and you have to be in X amount of episodes in order to be eligible. Long story short, Michael, and I don't know if you know this, gave his award to Johnny V. His SAG Award.
You did, Mikey?
Michael gave his award. Get one
because he was. It's not as generous as it sounds. I won 2 for the Sopranos SAG Awards as the ensemble. The ensemble won twice.
Right.
When we won the second time, he was not eligible because he wasn't a regular. So I gave him the second one I got. So now he has one.
That's very generous. Who else is going to do that?
Well, that's Michael.
That's what we do.
That's what you do. That's why you're a good guy. Seriously.
That's Michael. That's Michael.
Nobody does that. Nobody does that.
I don't know about that.
Absolutely.
Well, Johnny and I met him when I was 17.
Buddy, come on. Absolutely. Look, when I met you, Johnny was the bartender at 3 of Cups. Remember 3 of Cups on First Avenue?
First Avenue.
He was the bartender.
Fazio's
place. Come on. Yeah, we used to go downstairs. We had the jazz downstairs and fool around down there. That was a blast, that place. But that's Mikey. That's close to 30 years ago, buddy.
It is. Handgun was the first thing we did together, right? Seymour Cassell.
Handgun. Remember Handgun? Yeah, I just saw Whitney Rancic. I just saw Whitney.
You did. He's around. That was Johnny's first movie, I think. He got his SAG card. Johnny V. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, good for him. Yeah. Well, something. I did all of these movies. I did a lot of movies, and I never joined. I never joined the union. Okay. I didn't want to join a union really because remember the first time I was 46. The first time I went up against anybody was Danny Aiello. I mean, it wasn't like you guys were young kids and you went against other young kids that were trying to become actors. At 46, I was up against auditioning against seasoned, well-known actors, and I didn't know. Remember, there's a whole vernacular to acting: stage right, stage left, camera this, camera that. My number 1, my number 2, beep, pop, pop. I didn't know any of that language. I had to learn what I was doing. And I ultimately wound up going up to Toronto to do the ref for Disney. And it worked out fine. And I came home and my phone rang. And somebody, I don't know who the hell, and I guess it was the union or the production office. And they said, "Do you belong to the union?" And I went, "Well, I don't." And they said, "Well, look, it's like 11:30. All right, at 1:00, you better be in Screen Actors Guild, and we'll come in and going to put the handcuffs on your guinea ass." You understand? I went, "All right, well," I jumped in. I ran downtown and I wrote him a check for $1,100, and they joined the union. But I mean, I wasn't crazy about you because I was still learning. But at that point, it had to be.
Yeah.
So I mean, I quickly joined.
It's
the
also
union
expensive.
Right there,
When I was young and had to join,
they're worth it.
Well,
it was
now
a lot
it's
of money.
$3,500. It's $3,500 or something.
Right.
Now.
Well, it was $1,100. I joined in 94, I think, and it was $1,100.
Well, it was a good investment. Arthur, I love you to death.
Worth every penny of it.
I couldn't thank you enough for doing this.
I love you. Thank
I
you
love
so
you,
much,
pal.
both of
Please
love you,
say
buddy.
hello
See
to
you soon.
Vicky.
Two of the most talented guys in show business.
Same
What a
here.
team. Believe me when I tell you. Proud to be with you, boys. God bless.
Thank you very much, Arthur.
See you soon,
Thank
man.
you.
I'll see you.
See you soon, my friend. That's a good man right there. If I was in a foxhole, I want Arthur in there.
Absolutely, the best.
Believe
Good guy.
me, you got a problem, you call Arthur, he'll come out 4 a.m. to help you. That's a true
No doubt.
friend right there. All right.
All right, let's take a break. We'll come back.
All right, we are back. Season 4, episode 8, Mergers and Acquisitions. It first aired November 3rd, 2002. God damn it, that's a long time ago.
18 and a half years ago. Huh?
Teleplay by Lawrence Connor. And isn't Lawrence a co-writer on Many Saints of Newark?
Yes, he is. Yes, he is.
Story by David Chase, Robin Green, Mitchell Burgess, and Terrence Winter. Lawrence Connor, his daughter is also a writer, I believe.
Jenny Connor was one of the writers, producers on Girls with Lena Dunham.
And this was directed by Daniel Adius. I never worked with him. This is his 3rd of 3 episodes. I have never met Dan. I assume he's a good guy.
He's a very good director. It's a really good episode. The title, this refers to obviously merging and acquiring different companies and assets, but there's that whole Jim's character, Tony Soprano, with starting an affair with someone else's girlfriend, Ralphie's girlfriend, Valentina, in this episode. He kind of takes over the horse to some degree. He acquires a home theater. There's the T-bills that he's dealing with through Brian Camerata. Then there's Carmela grabbing 40 grand. Janice, there's a lot about related to that title, acquiring money and, things that belong to other people. Seems to be what's part of the theme of the show.
All right, we open up at the Soprano house kitchen. Carmela's making Furio coffee. She's very comforting. She gives him a coffee with milk and sugar. She says it's
Lots of milk and sugar.
Yeah, a lot more comforting. I never heard that before. And she rubs his shoulder. She's very, she rubs his shoulder. She's talking to him about, and he notices it. She comforts him. She touches his shoulder. Talking immigration, he says there's trouble. She said, talk to Tony about that. Tony comes down. I thought you were gone. You need money. He's talking about the cancer, and Tony cuts him off. He don't want to hear it.
Yeah, and she, the song that's playing, Breathe by Faith Hill, the lyrics are very much, I feel the magic in the air. Being with you gets me that way. I've never been this swept away. It's very much, what's going on between them there. They are, in love. And her putting her, hand on him seems like a step.
I think so. So. That's, that's a big move there. That's not done.
No.
Paulie's car. Paulie's driving Tony since Furio's goes to Naples. And if he's asking about the colostomy bag, do you think his old man wears it? Because Mom, maybe she's got to get one. And I gotta be honest. Tony Sirico, we love him. He's a hypochondriac. He thinks about
He's,
this stuff all the time.
he obsesses on this stuff. The colostomy bag. Later on in the show, he brings this up in reference to Beansy. Beansy pissing in a bag or whatever bag that he has, and it disturbs him. The idea that this is a possibility in the world for him, and then he's, bitching about he's got to get his mother going to Green Grove. And Tony has no patience for this and doesn't want to hear it.
And nor should he have to. That's why he enjoys Furio. Furio takes care of business. Paulie is a malcontent, as they say. He's never happy. He's never happy unless he's unhappy. You know people like that?
I've seen a few in my day.
I'm sure you. The golf course. Tony and Neil Mink play golf. Neil being Tony's longtime attorney, who's a terrific actor. Is it David Margolis?
Yeah.
Yeah, terrific New York guy. Played the mayor of what was that? Ghostbusters. Mayor of New York and Ghostbusters.
Oh, was he? I didn't know that.
Yeah. It's good that you're pulling back with business like we agreed to. He says, yeah, I'm going to go through Silvio and my nephew. I don't want to celebrate my daughter's first kid in prison. So he's thinking about that. He wants to give Christopher more responsibility, kind of take a step back from the business, not to get into trouble.
Right, because he knows he's a target to the feds. They always want to get, obviously, the guy the guy in charge. That's the target. That's the big fish, and and the more he can delegate, the more he's not tied to the day to day, the better it is for him to avoid, being arrested.
Christopher's apartment. Christopher and Adriana are in bed. Tony calls from the payphone. Get a pen and a piece of paper. Christopher wakes up out of a dead sleep. He doesn't have a piece of paper, and he's giving him the instructions very quickly.
And they're very complicated.
Yeah, very much so.
And confusing. And Tony's already up and about. He already played golf. Now he's calling Christopher. Christopher's still in bed. So the guy he's putting all this faith and stock into, obviously not up to the task yet. He's still sleeping and he's writing it down on a pillow. He's not very organized. And yet Tony thinks he's going to rise to the occasion, I guess.
But then again, listen, it could be 12 o'clock. 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Hey, listen, Chris is out all night. He's making a living. They're out running
That's
around.
True, too.
They have the club, probably gets home at 2, 3, 4 in the morning. You know how that goes. I mean, I lived that for a long time. I don't know if you did, but I used to wake up at 2, 3, 4 in the afternoon back in the day.
When you're working nights, and Christopher,
Sure.
They have the club and there's business going on there.
The Garden State Plaza Mall. It's very funny. Here's this big mob boss, Tony Soprano, all alone, nothing to do. Sitting
He's
in the
not
mall.
Don Corleone, right? That's what it. There's no romance. He's in the mall sitting at
This is probably more reality than Don Corleone.
Right.
Where he's sitting on this beautiful estate, I mean, here he is. I mean, he got an empty coffee cup. He read the paper. Now what? It's a long rest of the day.
At first, I thought he was going there for a meeting because he's had meetings in the mall before, But I think he's just going to read the paper.
And he's just wandering around. A lot of comics, when they're on the road, that's what they do. Because you go into these towns, there's really nothing happening.
That's what we do when we do our show on. We've done our show on the road. We were in Warren, Michigan, outside of Detroit, and
what do you do?
We had a show at night. We got there the night before, and we go to the Applebee's and have lunch, and I don't know. What are you going to do?
That was the best restaurant in town. You wander around, you sit in the lobby, you bullshit, you go to the mall. I don't know if Vinny Pastore went to a movie. I mean, what do? You're trying to kill the time until 8 o'clock at night. It's, not easy.
You can't get too messed up because you got to do a show.
No, though that hasn't stopped us in the old days. West Virginia comes to mind. Vesuvio's restaurant. Tony and Camilla having dinner with Brian and Janelle. Artie still has an attitude.
Artie's still pissed off with Tony from lending him the money for the Armagnac deal that went south, and
it's very cold. It's very chilly in there.
Very cold. Carmela's lost in thought. She's hearing the song, the Vesuvio song that was played at. She danced with Furio at the housewarming party. That song is in her head, and she's thinking about Furio, obviously.
She asked him, I was wondering if you had any ideas what Tony and I should do with the proceeds from the property in Newark. Brian, not that sharp at this point, says HUD. And, of course, Tony changes the subject. She wants to know, Tony has taken Brian into his web, like he does. Money, he gave him the $15,000 watch last episode. And Carmela feels it.
She's feeling that he's dragging him down that path.
She's a little suspicious.
He tries to deflect it and talked about Paul Newman. Have you seen that movie, HUD, with Paul Newman?
Is that where they eat the eggs?
No, that's Cool Hand Luke.
Oh, okay.
It's kind of, I think HUD was before Cool Hand Luke, if I'm not mistaken. Directed by Martin Ritt. It's a really good movie. He plays the son of this wealthy rancher in this small town, I think, in Texas, and it's really good. Paul Newman's great in it.
And she's a little suspicious of their friendship. Church meeting, Carmela, Rosalie, Father Phil, they're working the diaper drive. They seem to be bringing in the smaller newborn diapers because they're cheaper.
They're cheaper, which is very funny.
And Father Phil says, next year, we'll do it alphabetical, so we get a different variety. And Roe complains, saying, hey, they should be grateful. Don't have babies without having husbands. Carmela says, listen, I put up with the Gumar. I've come to terms with that. But what about the money? She's made peace with it, she says. And did Jackie leave you enough money? And she says, not really, but how much is enough?
And Carmela's very worried. Yeah, she's like, we put up with this Gumar shit. Well, she doesn't. It's not like she puts up with it. She doesn't want to deal with it. She said, we put up with this Gumar shit. We deserve to be partners.
She said, I'm not saying 50-50, but let me know what's going on.
And she talks about how Tony pulls people into his circle. She says that.
About Brian.
And about Brian, but then it cuts to Tony with the horse. It's almost like, drawing these people now, the trainer and Ralphie. He's taken over, kind of involved with the horse. Ralphie's always like, what's this costing? The horse is all about dollars and cents to Ralph, whereas Tony really has an emotional kind of appreciation, and he has an appreciation to the horse, an emotional attachment to Pi Oh My. It's a big difference, and it will eventually be one of the things that drives a wedge between those two guys, if you will.
He meets her, obviously very attractive. She pulls a joke on Ralphie, makes him step in the horse shit, which is true. That's good luck to step in shit. You know that. Well, that's where that.
But only if it's accidental.
Yeah, but you're walking down the block. Well, you step in shit. That doesn't bother me that much. It's like,
Is it proven to be good luck? Is that a proven thing?
I guess. I don't know.
I'm
superstitious. You're not superstitious. I am.
I'm not so superstitious.
I mean, I don't go around looking to step in shit, but,
No, it doesn't work that way. That's what Ralphie says. So why aren't you people stomping around in this all the time? She says it only works if it's accidental. Valentina is played by Leslie Bega, who was on that show, Head of the Class, when she was like, a kid, when she was younger. She was also in Get Shorty and CSI. And she plays Valentina La Paz, becomes a Gumar to Tony and is a girlfriend of Ralph at this point.
He says, I think it's funny. I think what I think is funny is what an 8-year-old boy thinks is funny. Then she gives him the pitch because she owns an art gallery or works there. He's interested in art. There's an artist down in New Hope. Give him a photo of your horse. He paints a beautiful portrait. If you're interested, give me a call. I wonder if you step in human shit, if that's good luck.
No. That's bad luck.
Yeah, well, good luck when you get to New York, because it's everywhere. So be on the lookout for human feces. Green Grove. Paulie's moving Nucci into Green Grove. I got to tell you, she does a really good job.
Frances Ensemblare, who passed away in 2017. She did a really good job.
She hasn't done much work. I don't know if she was an actress. She's only done a literally handful of things. I think Sopranos being the first thing. And I believe her. You know, she's in numerous episodes. She does a really good job. Paulie treats her like a baby. Little Paulie and Benny are helping her moving in. He treats her like a baby. Hey, Ma, safety first. Let's go get down the chuck wagon. And
but he's really taking care of her, too. You know?
Yeah.
I mean, he's going out of his way.
He meets the friends, Cookie Cirillo, played by Anna Berger, which is funny because 2 nights ago I watched Taking of Pelham 123.
So did I.
Yeah.
So did I. And she was the mother on the train. She's also in Crimes and Misdemeanors. She plays, the aunt, the Aunt May, who's like the Jewish socialist at that dinner scene flashback
at the Seder.
The Seder, yeah.
Seder, that's right. So good. She's really an underrated actress. I mean, when you see her, she's done such good work.
She also passed away. She passed away in 2014, but she was really great. I really thought she did some.
They tell Paulie, listen, tell your mother. I don't want to embarrass your mother, but we have our own group. You can't sit with me and Min. The other girls, we play Scrabble for money. We do this, we do that. She can't sit with us, which is pretty fucking cold-hearted.
Really cold. It's like high school again. It's like this pecking order, and it's very bizarre.
The director says, it's high school with wheelchairs. That's not very nice. Not like a bunch of nice old ladies.
No, it's terrible.
It's
really terrible.
And that's where he says the famous line: "When I was young, you two were old. Now I'm old, and you're still old." It's one of Sopranos' famous quotes. Soprano House. They're Tony's setting up the home theater.
Now he's watching The Fugitive, which Joey Pants was in.
Yeah, Joey had a big part in
that's
that.
a 1993 film with Harrison Ford. The guy setting up his home theater is Jordan Gelber, who did a play at Studio Dante, the theater that my wife and I had. I produced the play, and he played a stand-up comedian in it. He's a very good actor. He was in the remake of Taking of Pelham 123, as well as Before the Devil Knows You're Dead. He's a very good actor.
And really Jim was in the Taking of Pelham 123.
He was
Denzel Washington and Michael Rispoli.
Right, exactly.
Tony falls asleep. Carmela says she'll be back. Maybe she'll get in the bedroom. They're playing this Eclipse by Pink Floyd.
And In the Bedroom's a movie about a family that's kind of torn apart by an affair, basically, which is kind of interesting because that starts to happen here. Yeah, he starts playing, first he plays Bell Bottom Blues, the Derek and the Dominoes, which is a Clapton, song. And then some Scottish music, and then the Eclipse, the Pink Floyd song, and he falls asleep in his new home theater.
He pulls out her card. He's bored. He's eating popcorn. He takes a nap in the middle of the day. He's watching movies, listening to music. How much of that you're going to do? Then at the horse painter's studio, they visit the horse painter. He wants Ralphie taken out. And I got to tell you something here. Here's Tony. Okay, first of all, this painter is very ordinary at best.
Yeah, and he's talking a big game. It's pastoral scene. This will really be, he's selling himself. And
$6,500. And Tony, who at times could be a big penny pincher. We saw in the last episode, he was talking about $7,000 worth of copper. He doesn't flinch here. He does not flinch.
Well, you think part of that's because he's in front of Valentina? He wants to seem like a big shot and make her feel good.
He wants to get laid. He wants she's going to get a piece of this.
She's getting a commission. Yeah.
He doesn't even like say, hey, I'll give you 6. I'll give you 5. I'll pay you in cash. It's cheaper.
I'll give you 5 cash.
I mean, he gives him $6,500. That's a lot of money. Hey, does it come with a frame? That's a fucking $3 frame, Valentina nods her head. Obviously, he doesn't care. But at times, he's a penny pincher, right? He calls him pile mine.
Pile mine. He says pile my. And then he says cropping Ralphie out, which he's doing literally and figuratively.
Correct.
In this episode.
I bet you say that to all the girls. Valentina nods, yes, we should buy it. Let's stop and get something to eat. Here they are. They're having sex in the hotel room. Tony goes to the bathroom. Valentina unscrews the salt. He takes it in stride. It's kind of funny. Obviously, she's a jokester. Listen, there's red flags all over the place. She's a screwball. And this is what Tony likes.
And look, the physical type, if you think about it, Irina, his Gumar, the Russian Gumar. Then you had Gloria. There's Valentina later on. He has a thing kind of almost with Juliana Margulies' character, Juliana Skiff. There's a certain dark, similar type features of this type that he's attracted to. He kind of thinks it's funny, and he's not so happy with it. It kind of bothers him a little bit, right?
Yeah, but I mean, listen, you see, she's a nut job. I guess he doesn't care. Then again, maybe you're going to get a straight girl that's somebody without problems is going to, do all this. I don't know. Do you know what I mean?
Know. But he tries to make it a one-time thing. He buys her the diamond horseshoe pin, and then he writes a card saying it was great while it lasted. Basically saying, that's it, one and done here.
That horseshoe I've seen a million times. I don't like that very much. That's not a very flattering gift.
No, it's not. It's also funny. The song playing while he's buying this horseshoe at the mall. I think it's at the mall. Is a Muzak version of "Taking It to the Streets" by the Doobie Brothers, which is a song about kind of like social protest and poverty, and it's this Muzak. It's very, very ironic, right?
All right, we're back at Green Grove Casino night. Nucci's playing blackjack with Cookie. She takes a hit. She hits on an 18. That's what you do.
I did it on 17. You were there that night. Yeah.
You don't care.
But I won. It was the only time I've ever hit on 17, and I won. I was just in the zone.
But you don't care. You split tens. You split kings. You play your own way. And there's a certain, obviously there's certain, not rules, but protocol.
Etiquette.
How you're supposed to do it. But it's like the joke this reminded me of. Because Cookie's all over her. You took my card. If she doesn't bust, Cookie had a 15. She gets the 6. She'll have 21. It's like the guy and his wife. They're in Vegas, and the guy says to her, "How'd you do?" She said, "Well, I lost $100." He said, "That's it, $100? Are you out of your fucking mind?" She said, "But you lost 5,000." He says, "Yeah, but I know how to gamble."
Right.
and that's that. I know how to play the rules. I know how it's supposed to go.
Right.
But it doesn't really matter, I guess, because you fucking lose. You know what you're doing, and you lose, and then somebody
still
comes.
Lose. And people get mad at you when you don't.
Have you had
like
people
in blackjack?
mad?
Oh, yeah. Like if you take a hit, you might want to double down on. It's like, man, want to split 10 sometimes, which you're not. There. I was playing in a casino and I was playing alone, and I split 10s. The deal says, that's not recommended.
Yeah.
And I said, none of this is recommended. It's gambling shouldn't be recommended. I said, I know it's not recommended.
That's a big no-no. Splitting the 10s or kings. That's a big no-no.
But I don't. It's sometimes you just want to have fun.
Well, that's I'm
not playing for thousands of dollars. I just want to have fun and have some action. And if you take a hit and it messes up the person's hand next to you, they get pissed off. But it's like, well, then go play by yourself.
Well, this is my money. Unless in their mind, it'll screw up the whole deck.
Sure.
You know,
Which
to
is
screw
not
up the
really
whole
true.
deck.
But that's
Well,
not
listen,
true. It's just as random as, it's a random collection of cards, right? It doesn't screw up. It's not in an order that's going to
no, but
be in
that's in
favor of
their mind.
anybody.
Listen, I lived there a long time. I wasn't a huge gambler, but I gambled plenty of times. I barely ever won. And I know how to play blackjack. Barely did I ever, ever, ever win. And I know what to do. So what's the fucking rules, you know?
If the dealer has a 6 or a 5, I will do whatever I can to maximize my bet. I'm going to go all in. I'll split tens. I'll double down on whatever. If that dealer has it 6, I'm going to bet that he's going to bust.
I usually like to play third base. You know, I kind of protect the thing.
Third base.
Yeah.
The last guy?
The last guy. Yeah,
Yeah, I like that too. The last or the first.
the last guy. Usually, dealers should mind their own business.
They should mind their own business. You know what I really hate though? I don't like when I'm gambling. I don't do it to socialize. I don't want to talk about where you're from or what's going on or to see I just want to focus because it takes a lot of focus. Those people who start bullshitting and want to start a conversation, not the dealer, another player, they're probably going to lose because they're not focusing on, it's the people who are quiet, who are focusing usually tend to do better. I'm not there to socialize.
But that's
I'm
what
there
they
to
are.
gamble.
They are. They're there to drink, flirt with the cocktail waitress.
I'm there to gamble.
Make friends. They had a ball. Hey, you ever hear them? We had a ball. Oh, we played with the same group all night. We had a ball. Or they go to the crap table. They're screaming. They're yelling.
Yeah,
it's part of a social thing. Well, you're not very social.
Not at a blackjack table. I want to play blackjack.
I'm much more social than you. I make friends.
Yeah, that's why you don't win much at blackjack.
I never win.
Right,
Ever.
that's why.
And that's why I don't
busy
really play.
Talking to people and stuff. Being gregarious, the life of the party.
There you go. There you go. I guess that's it. I got to remember that. Soprano bathroom. Tony brushes his teeth. Carmela's in the shower. He pours cold water on Carmela's head.
But she's singing that same song. Now she's singing it. The Vesuvio by Spaccanopoli. She's singing it. She's in the shower naked. The water's hitting her body as she's singing this Furio
She's
theme
thinking
song.
She's thinking about Furio.
100%. She's singing it. She's thinking about when he held her hand and danced in the house, and he throws cold water on that. So that's another kind of metaphor thing. He's
correct.
Trying to.
I think she overreacts, and I think she realizes kind of she overreacted. You did that on our honeymoon, blah, blah, blah. I mean, he's just playing around, man. He's having a little fun. I mean.
I think part of her overreaction is that she's in love with Furio, and that kind of Tony just pisses her off right now because he's not Furio. I hate to say that, but I think that's what's going on.
Like David said, I always think about what David Chase said in his interview, that the one regret he wanted in the argument to say, I masturbated to Furio.
Right.
You know? That would have
been that might have buried Furio.
But that'll get you. That's a fucking blow, you know. Bergen North High School, Paulie goes down and meets with Cookie's son, Chucky. He says, "Hey, you pizza face son of a gun." Paulie remembers him from the 9th grade. They went to school together. They know him as kids. You got the LASIK, no more glasses. So Chucky sounds like he was a mess in his day. Acne, glasses.
He was a nerd.
Yeah, a nerdy guy.
And Paulie was the cool kid.
Yeah.
Paulie was a greaser, whatever.
He didn't make it past the 9th grade. And he says, I don't blame your mother, which of course he does blame her, but he blames Minnie Latrone. She's a malignant cunt, and
he's trying to bribe him with a suitcase.
And he says, no, don't insult me. But, a malignant cunt is way worse than just a cunt. That's an ultimate. That's a really ultimate insult. She eggs your mother on. She don't even live there. I'm just asking you to talk to your ma, see if she can include my ma and more with the group. I'm trying to do is pay back my mother. He kind of gives him a veiled threat. You know,
Oh, he does.
I'm not capable anymore, but
Yeah,
you
he's
know,
talking about how he always was in trouble and his mother bailed him out. And if it wasn't for her, I would have gotten a lot of trouble. And then he says, I'm still capable if I don't watch myself.
correct. He gives him a veiled threat. Chucky gets it loud and clear. Soprano bedroom, Carmela's folding laundry, finds Valentina's broken nail. Tony's always doing shit like this.
Well, and it's like she said to Rosalie, we put up with this Gumasha, but she's not, she doesn't want to put up with this shit.
I mean,
She's
but
finding a nail.
how hard is it to fucking throw the nail away? Check your pockets before you go in the house. You know, having a gumata or cheating is a lot of work.
It seems like it for him, sure.
It's a lot of work. You got to watch your back. You got to always covering your tracks, like he says later on, he knows guys that have 2 families. Who the fuck could do that? 2 families.
That's terrible. That's a lot of work.
The restaurant.
But she's furious and she's hurt, so she's not
sure.
putting up with it, really. Yeah.
Tony has dinner.
That's Bamonte's restaurant in
Bamonte's?
Williamsburg on Wither Street. It's a 120-year-old restaurant, still going. It's a great Italian, old school as it gets. It's a really good. If you guys haven't been there, go.
You know what the thing I like about Bamonte's, and I wrote about it in my first book. It's been there so long. People have had their baptism party and then their repast when they died. That's how long the restaurant's been.
That's what you like about it.
Well, I'm just saying it's a real family thing.
120 years.
All the Dodgers in the 50s when they were playing in Brooklyn, they all went there. All the Dodgers, all the Duke Snider, Gil Hodges, all those guys, Jackie Robinson. It's still there. We shot Blue Bloods there numerous times. Really old school, but I mean, I kind of like that. Not that people die, but that it really is family. And they've been going there, special occasions, christenings.
It's a good place.
It's a good
They make
place.
really good eggplant. The eggplant Parmigiano, the rollatini. But, that for me, that's always a good mark of an Italian restaurant. Because eggplant Parmesan is very simple. But if you don't know how to do it, it's horrible. And when it's done right, it's fantastic. And if it's done wrong, it's garbage.
And also the bread. If the
really
bread sucks, you go to a restaurant, you see the bread, you know right away. Say, this isn't going to work.
You know what was surprising, and it's happened more. I've been to Italy many times. The bread, when you go to a restaurant and you get bread with your meal, was always kind of disappointing, I have to say.
Really?
And you think you're in Italy. I mean, for the most part, the food, most of the places that I've gone and the experience that I had with food was really, really good. But very consistently, and I'm not the only one who said that, bread is kind of like an afterthought with the meal. I'm not talking about a sandwich or buying it at a bakery, that kind of thing. When it's served with the meal in a restaurant, surprisingly, kind of a nothing.
That's kind of a big. Tell. You go, you sit down, the basket of bread, and. But I like Bamonte's. If you come to New York, you people out there, that's
in Williamsburg.
Still good. It's a restaurant in the middle of a residential block. Really old school.
Yeah.
Old way. The waiters have been there a long time, and Tony, we see Miss.
Miss Reykjavik? That's Tona Christensen, we saw early on. She was one of the flight attendants.
One of the few blondes Tony's with.
Yeah, and Roberta Wallach, who's a good friend of mine, plays Patsy's Gumar, Stella. Roberta Wallach's the daughter of the great Eli Wallach and Ann Jackson, one of the great, acting legend couples.
Wasn't she in Hungry Ghosts?
Roberta was not.
No, she wasn't.
I think you're thinking of Angelica Torn.
There you go.
The daughter of Geraldine Page and Rip Torn, another acting dynasty. Yes.
Tony, yells at Chris and Silvio. He had told Christopher, make whatever decision you want. They made a decision, and he doesn't like that decision.
All right. They put a bigger percentage to the union guys as far as the customs guys, more than the customs guys. Yeah, he doesn't like that decision, and he's delegating, but he doesn't like how it's done. So he needs to be more clear on what he wants, I guess.
Tony and Valentina, they have a little talk. She says, how come you can't see me again? Keep your horseshoe. I don't need a consolation prize. He said, I just can't be where Ralph has been.
Which is a terrible thing to say to somebody.
Yeah. And she says, I don't fuck him. He's some kind of freak or something. Tony doesn't want to hear it. Tony insults her numerous times in this. Very strange. And he's jealous. He sees Ralphie with her. He's jealous, Tony.
He's possessive, yeah.
Very self-centered. He's the boss. You know, we see it over and over and over in the series.
I mean, it was a bad idea for him to get involved with her, obviously, because it's a captain, girlfriend of a captain. Big mistake, and he's realizing that. And he's also not that, I don't think he's that into her in a way.
I think he's just bored.
He's bored.
Trying to stay out of business, but in the meantime, he's got a slew of girls at the Bada Bing. I mean, he's
got the Miss Reykjavik at the table there.
Yeah. Exactly. It's not enough. I guess like everything else, food, drink, we see him at times gambling as the series goes on, drugs. He overdoes everything, including
women.
Yeah. This is something that gets me, So, Soprano bedroom, Carmela's reading in bed. And she's pissed. She throws the book across the room. She gets up. She looks outside the window. Carmela is sitting home night after night after night, probably at least 5 nights a week, if not more, while he's out.
Well, he says he's working, doing business, right? So a lot of his business takes place at night. Dinners, drinks, and entertaining, meetings, sit-downs. A lot of that shit happens in bars.
But she is ready. She's prepared and does this so she can have this lifestyle.
She's conflicted. We've seen her go back and forth about it, but yeah, I'm sure it's not, she's in a difficult place as a person,
But she doesn't leave because she likes the big house. She likes the cars. She likes all of this stuff.
She also loves him, which we see later. I mean, we see it throughout the series, but especially later during the coma sequence. It really kind of comes to light how much. And she does love him.
I think she likes being Mrs. Soprano also.
She's of course, there's something, the identity of that. She's the godmother. She's, she lives a good life in terms of the,
material
the house
stuff.
And this lifestyle. But it's hard. She's reading The Mists of Avalon, which is about King Arthur and particularly the women in his life that influence him, which I kind of funny.
She gets pissed. She throws it. She looks out the window. She walks out to the bin where the money is, the bird feeder, and takes a shovel. She can't open it up. She tries. Bada bing, back room. Tony's phone rings. It's Valentina. I have to tell you everything. I don't want to tell you before because it's so embarrassing. Ralph does not like sex like other people. Last night, I just wanted him to fuck me so I could get back at you. Red flag. She's a fucking nut.
That's a big red flag. Yeah.
All right. But all he wanted to do was drip candle wax on his balls, and then he went into the bathroom and jerked himself off. Last week, I swear to God, he told me to rub his dick raw with a cheese grater. Now, that's a tough one.
That's a tough one.
You never did that, I assume.
No, I never came close.
I never even thought of that. A cheese grater, rub your dick on a cheese grater, that's a tough one.
The candle wax, too, is tricky. I don't know. I mean, I don't know.
That's not hard.
Nothing related to fire do I want near my private, my nether regions.
The wax isn't as crazy as your cheese grater.
It's not as crazy. The cheese grater is really...
That's a whole nother level.
That's That's a lot of
Locatelli
pain.
cheese. Locatelli.
What gauge of the grater do you think? The small
Yeah.
gauge or the big gauge? I don't know.
That's a tough one, man.
That's a tough.
Silvio and Patsy arrive. Silvio pulls out a bucket of little mozzarella. It's
He
very
asked
funny.
him. He says, "Is Ralph weird about women?" He goes, "Well, he beat one to death just for, I forget, what was it again?"
Yeah.
Which is a very,
And we've seen this,
I
Ralph.
mean, it's a very bizarre line. It's very telling, in terms of how they look at what goes on there.
We've seen him. We've seen him a little weird with Jackie Jr. rubbing the shoulders, talking about Spartacus.
The
We've
Gladiator.
seen that, gladiators, all that shit. Ralph,
He's
an odd
well
one.
with Janice. The stuff with Janice.
I got to tell you something.
That was pretty out there too.
Which we get into later, of course. He was getting a vibrator up his ass. But now when I put cheese on my macaroni, I'm going to be thinking about Ralphie's balls.
That's a tough one, man. You
gonna
may
be a
have
tough
to
one.
go. You may have to go dairy free for a while, Steve.
I think I'm going to. Because now my wife's going to make a nice big dish of macaroni maybe tonight. And I'm going to be thinking about Ralphie's balls being grated by the cheese grater.
That's a horrific thought, my friend.
Yeah. Melfi's office. Tony, I just want to ask you if it's possible for a man to go out with a woman without really doing anything with them. He likes to hurt them. And then he goes and takes care of himself. Melfi's enjoying the conversation. Textbook masochist. Smiling almost.
Textbook, yeah. He's talking about, she says, cuckolding cuckolding him, which means cheating with his woman. He says, well, it's not his wife, it's only his gumar. And he says, talking about she doesn't have the same status as a wife. And he said, well, they kind of do. He brings up the Friday and Saturday thing and gets it in reverse, actually. He goes, you take out your wives on, or...
It's Friday. Yeah. The gumaras are Fridays, right?
Well, it's Friday because you could say you're working late. Yeah. Saturday, you're off. You got to, there's no excuse for you not to be.
I have a friend of mine. I think I've talked about it early on. 44 years. He had a gomara every Friday and Wednesday night. 44 fucking years.
Now, did she have another relationship?
She was married also.
Wow. See, usually they're not married, right?
Usually they're not married. I mean, they enjoy, like we've talked about, gumaras. Somebody says, why is she a gumara? Because whenever they're together with their guy, it's kind of like Christmas Eve.
They have fun.
They got presents and champagne and go to a show and go out to a great dinner and a nice hotel room, a suite. Tony takes them to the plaza, and it's like
they don't have
exciting.
The daily monotony of domestic life.
Listen, Gloria Trillo says if I wanted, what did she say at one point? If I wanted people to treat me like I want to be treated like shit, I get married. Gloria Trillo says that at one point. I'd get married. Gumaras, not usually, but every Wednesday and Friday. I personally think if my wife went out every Wednesday and Friday night for 44 years, I would catch on. Maybe I'm giving myself too much credit, but
sometimes they don't want to catch on too.
Yeah.
Some people, I guess, turn a blind eye. She brings up the whole thing with the mother. Maybe he had a controlling mother, and he's like, is everything about everybody really about their mothers?
Well, she's always bringing that up.
Yeah, he doesn't really want to hear it. He's like, I received regular beatings when I was a kid, but I'm not going around looking for some woman to hook jumper cables to my private parts.
Has you ever had jumper cables on your balls? Have you ever had that?
No. I never. I hope I never will.
You live a very vanilla sex life.
I'm very conservative.
Yeah,
straight-laced.
I see.
Why, you've had that? You've had your jumper cables?
No.
You had a girlfriend. She used to call you Juice. That was your nickname because you liked the high voltage.
All right, honey, hit the gas. Hit the gas.
She called you 120 volts.
Hit the gas. Tony calls Valentina. He answers. She answers. He hangs up without saying anything. He's
The
flashing
Ralph
back.
thing, the Ralph thing bothers him. He doesn't want. Yeah, it's too weird, and the stuff she did with him is too weird, and I think he's over it.
Soprano bedroom. Carmela lies in bed watching the financial news. Tony's in the shower.
She's watching Maria Bartiromo, who back then was on CNBC, The Business. They used to call her the Money Honey.
Yeah, she's great. We hung out with her one night.
She, Joey Ramone, we met her at, I think, Del Posto. Joey Ramone, on his last album, has a song, Maria Bartiromo, that he wrote about her.
Really?
He immortalized her in song. I think it's his last album, and it's called Maria Bartiromo. I guess he was smitten watching her on CNBC talk about the stock market, and he was so inspired and enamored, he wrote a song.
I played Little League with her brother Sam. She's from Bay Ridge, from up that way. The comparison Rosanna Scotto and Maria Bartiromo. They're both from the same neighborhood, both Italian. Both terrific at what they do.
Rosanna's always been really cool with us, and she had us on
when
we had the theater. She had us on promoting plays. When we've had the movie came out, The Hungry Ghosts. Her family's restaurant also is excellent. Fresco. Scotto is
wonderful family.
Tremendous Italian restaurant.
Wonderful family. She's
They're
great.
all really sweet. The whole
Very
family
supported. That's for sure.
Sweethearts and good people.
It's a great restaurant also. They're talking about women and finances. And women they're a little reluctant to they're conservative. They're a little reluctant to invest.
Not confident. Yeah.
Where husbands are overconfident. Guy thinks he reads something, and Tony is humming to Pink Floyd.
The Wall. Right.
Yeah.
He also says in the interview, women have to take responsibility, have a contingency plan. And that's what really gets to her, I think. Now,
do you handle your bills at your house, or does your wife?
Both of us.
You both equally handle the bills.
Yeah. Well, we have a lot of help. We have, our good friend Valerie.
Valerie does our bills.
And does yours as well, our business manager. Valerie, who's Valerie Bao, is great.
If I had to sit there and write out the bills all day long, I would go out of my mind.
Well, when you're as an actor, that stuff gets very complicated because as an actor, you may have 12 employers in 1 year. Different productions, different movies, and things like that, and it's doing that kind of stuff is very complicated.
Carmela uses the key while Tony's in the shower. She opens the bin, she finds the money in the bird feeder, and she grabs it. She takes about $40,000, as we come to see.
Yes.
Nucci at Green Grove doesn't want to get up. Paulie's mother doesn't want to get up. Come on. She says, I want to go home. There is no more home, Ma. We sold it. They make me eat alone. I try to be so nice. She went and got them cards at the gift shop. She's very, very sad. I feel bad for her.
Yeah, and he feels horrible.
She doesn't want to get out of bed. He says, come on, at least sit up. Paulie is very, very upset.
He's very upset. He wants the best for her, and it's sad. It's really sad.
Naples Cemetery.
So that's Nino Del Duca playing Uncle Mauricio, and Federico, who was on our podcast, Talking Sopranos, told the story that when they were trying to cast this part, he recommended his friend from New Jersey, Paterson, New Jersey, and this guy came in and auditioned, and I don't think he had ever acted before.
No, but he does a great job. Great job.
Tremendous job, yeah. And they flew him to Italy, to Naples, to shoot this scene.
Boy, that had to be exciting.
Yeah, Federico, if you haven't seen that episode, listeners and viewers, you should check out Federico's episode because he goes into the story on how this all happened and played out, and it's pretty interesting.
And he does a great job, and he gives advice. The Furio's there for his father's funeral. He says, "Are you fucking her?" No, I don't even know she knows. I never even kissed her. Stay away. The only way you can have her is if you kill the man. Don't be an idiot. He says the boss always finds out everything.
All right.
I think he does a great job. It just works perfect.
He's really good. Yeah.
Nino,
Very
and
believable.
Federico said it was a highlight of his life, and rightfully so. I believe he's a poet. He was a poet, yeah.
Wow.
Soprano Kitchen. Carmela watches Mario Batali, our good friend. Eats Italy on TV.
Mario Eats Italy. That was a show where he would go all over Italy, tasting the food and going to restaurants and shops and stuff like that. I was on his show, Molto Mario.
Me too, as I was
Which was
also.
the cooking show.
I was on with Mario Cantone. She looks at his ponytail. Mario always had a ponytail, and he thinks of Furio. Now, didn't you wear a ponytail for a long time?
Now and then.
You did, right?
Now and then. I didn't. It wasn't like every day. Some days it would be out. Some days it would be tied.
Okay.
When my hair was long.
Gotcha.
Did you ever?
No, I'm not
Never.
a ponytail type guy. Never.
How long have you ever had really long hair, like in the 70s or anything?
No, not really long. I mean, longer than this, obviously. Like over
Did
my
you ever
years.
have a big kind of
afro?
Yeah, one of those dudes. No,
I don't have afro. No. I had, over my ears and shit, but it never, not down to my shoulders. Never. That's
never. Why not?
Because I can't even stand to go more than 3 or 4 days without shaving. I feel kind of dirtyish. And
Gotcha.
even the long hair to me, that's how I feel. I get uncomfortable, I mean, I've tried growing a goatee, and it just doesn't work for me. It takes a long time anyway. But the worst thing is when a guy's bald and he has a ponytail. Like whatever hair they got in the back.
Why is that the worst thing?
It looks fucking horrible. Horrible. It's the worst look ever. I'm the only person that thinks that. You like that? When you if you go bald, you're gonna have a ponytail.
Maybe.
So you like long hair?
Nah, I mean, you go through phases. Sometimes I just,
To me, it's such a hassle in the morning and the fucking thing.
Kind of is a hassle, yeah. It's not worth it.
I mean, the people got really long hair to wash it and do the whole shit. Oh, my gosh. To me, listen, Michael, I'm simple. I'm a simple guy with simple needs. Simple hairstyle. Simple clothes. Simple. Keep everything uncomplicated.
And it's worked for you. It's worked for you.
So far.
You've done well by it.
You know what? Mario talks about zucchini flowers, one of my favorite things in the entire world to eat.
Another thing that has to be done right, though, right? If you do it wrong, if you don't know how to do it, it's that's simple. Not a lot of ingredients, but
it's hard to find them.
Hard to find them. Yeah.
I love zucchini flowers. I think they're fantastic.
Yeah, it's great. When they're good, they're good. Yeah, really good.
Crazy Horse Office. Tony and Ralphie are talking. Adriana brings them drinks. Ralphie's being a douchebag.
He's a pain in the ass, Ralph. Like
he's a douchebag. He's
always.
Yeah.
Pain in the ass. It's always a pain in the ass.
And disrespectful to Christopher's fiance, girlfriend, whatever. Very disrespectful. I got to be honest. I don't know how this works. Like if I was Tony does mention it to him, but it would be like, what the fuck are you doing? Don't fucking do that again.
Tony puts up with a lot from him because Ralphie was a big earner.
See, that's bullshit. I know. That's why I could never be in the mob.
Yeah, it's hard.
It's a lot of bullshit. I mean, if Christopher's a killer. I mean, I know he can't.
If he did that in front of Christopher, it would be a problem. They would have had Christopher not.
Christopher's no punk. What do you have to give a shit for? She likes it. It's banter. I don't think she likes it. I don't give a flying fuck, my brother, what any little slit thinks about me. That says it all right there.
That says everything about it. And then he says, does that include who you brought to the stables? Tony pretending he forgot her name. Oh, her, I'm crazy about it. I may have to marry her.
Yeah.
Wow.
Adriana brings a giant bowl of olives like a fuck you to him. He gets a smart remark. He shoves the money in her pants. Very disrespectful there.
Very disrespectful.
I don't like that.
I like, though, when he says, I may have to marry her about Valentina. I've never been fucked so long or so good. And we know that's
a lie. He's lying right there. Yeah.
It's metaphorical, I guess, because that's not what he's doing. And Tony tries to kind of get him to psychoanalyze a little bit. You know, do you ever think about your mother when you were a kid? You know, and
he says she was difficult, and then he changes the subject. He cuts Tony off and he leaves. Ralphie, remember Little Rascals, the He-Man Woman Haters Club?
Yes.
He would be a member of the He-Man Woman Haters Club.
You're right.
Right? Green Grove. Paulie meets with the director, Giaculo. Sometimes they think this place is like high school with wheelchairs. Tell your mother to be patient. Your mother's going to have to learn to accept responsibility for her own behavior. Like what? She cries a lot while she's exercising at church.
That doesn't bother him that much, but the next thing does.
Well, she doesn't always wear her teeth.
That he says that this is not good because he's grossed out by bodily functions and things, you know, germs and stuff, and that he has a problem with that.
Yeah,
you know, that skeeves him, and he doesn't like it. And then she's a tattletale that he really doesn't like.
Yeah, she's a rat, a snitch. That he doesn't like. You know, that teeth, the teeth and the glasses. You know, the false teeth. That's a tough one. Having to take your teeth out every night.
My grandfather, man, his teeth you'd find them all over the house.
My mother,
hilarious.
you know how many times
Never knew where we'd find them.
My mother threw her teeth in the garbage. You know how many fucking times? We had to go in the garbage pail and look for them. She threw them in a...
He would take them out to eat.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? He would take the teeth out to eat, which I always found, as a kid, you're like, that makes no sense, right? But so they would be here and there and not in the glass. They would be wherever he'd put them. And you know, I grew up finding teeth. There was teeth always around the house.
My mother had the teeth, and she put them in a paper towel when she ate, and she would throw them away. It's horrifying. And then to take your teeth out every night to go to bed, that's such a tough one. That's a tough one. I know now there's better, they have better technology.
Good. So we have something to look forward to.
Well, I don't know.
I'm looking forward to that.
I don't hear about it that much, like people taking their teeth out and putting it in glasses. I don't hear about it. That doesn't mean it doesn't happen. For all I know, Andy, our producer, takes teeth out every night, and Jeff Sussman. I don't know. Do you know what goes on? Maybe every night Jeff takes his teeth out. It's on the night table. Or Andy,
they're young guys. Why are they taking their teeth out?
Andy, do you have fake
Andy
teeth?
Does not.
He's taking them out right now. He just pulled them out and put them back in. Remember Warner Wolf, the announcer, sports announcer?
Sports guy, yeah.
Well, let's go to the videotape. There's a famous thing on YouTube. His teeth fell out on the air.
That's rough.
Terrible. Payphone. Tony calls Christopher, who's in bed. Did Connie Condino ever get those washing machines? Christopher tells him, I don't understand. You want to know all this shit because you go back on everything. Syl and me gets settled, you know. He says he doesn't. He's stepping away, but he's not stepping away. He's micromanaging. Right. Valentina calls. She says, could I meet you for coffee or a drink or something? The Coach House on Route 21 in Passaic. I'll see you there at noon. Tony is, I guess it must be, the Coach House must be a real place, huh?
I think so. I think it's in North Jersey, yeah.
Bergen North High School. I always love when Benny and little Paulie, they got Benny doing the dirty work all the time. It's fucking hilarious.
They're the low men on the totem pole, right?
There's little Benny. Little Benny. It's great. Later on, we see him hitting JT with the phone book, and
That's an entry level position. Right?
yeah,
Chasing people down and
just
out
hilarious. They're chasing Chucky through the hallways. He runs into the projector, and obviously no good happens. The coach house. Tony's sitting at the bar having a Coke. Valentina comes in. She tells him last night he brought out this leather mask.
and he don't want to hear it. He's like, all right. It's way too.
This means we could be together. And now one of my favorite lines of the entire series. He says, look, I'm happily married with 2 kids. I just want to see you a couple nights a week. I really like you. I won't tell you I love you. He says, it's not going to happen. Why? For one thing, I already took his horse. Ouch. Wow. Ouch.
Really
she slaps him. Great line. Comparing him. I took his really horse, and I don't want to take his wife.
Right. Mergers and acquisitions. Yeah. No, it's a horrendous thing to say to somebody.
You know, it's his gumata, but really it's his girlfriend. Ralphie's not married. He was with
No, it's
Ro.
not his gumata. No, it's his girlfriend. He's thinking of marrying her.
It's not his gumata.
Until she broke up, but yeah.
It's something, the 2 family thing. That's something that my father, I told you, had 2 families.
Yeah.
He was bad at both of the fucking families. He was a bad husband and a bad father for everybody involved. It wasn't like he was good to one group and shitty to the other. He was just bad to everybody.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
That's bad, yeah. That's
we're at the broker Richard's office.
Enough practice. He had enough practice. You'd think he would be,
He had 5 kids with one wife, 2 with the other. What the fuck? He was 0 for 7. 0 for 2 with the wives, 0 for 7. Who knows if there were more? I have no idea. Carmela meets with Richard. Carmela, $9,900. He said that's
to avoid
interesting.
Paying tax. Right.
Because once you hit 10,000, something old economy, maybe treasuries. Carmela has done her homework.
She's done her homework. She's got 4 places to invest this money.
Yeah. And she doesn't go to Brian. She doesn't trust Brian. She could have went to him with the money. She doesn't trust him. In the mall, here's Tony, the big mob boss. Doesn't know what to do with himself. Wandering around aimlessly like a comic without a fucking job. Or
bored out of his mind. Yeah.
Yeah. That's what we used to do when we were on the road. Just do nothing, right?
Go to the mall. Yeah.
Go to the mall, go have lunch. What do? You walk around through the fucking windows? What do you do?
That's it.
Tony tells he's just wandering around, and he takes out his money and he sees Valentina's card.
So he's still not 100% done, maybe, with the idea. So then he goes to Janice to see if he could get some more
This is a great scene.
Insight. Right. Yeah, really great.
She's ironing a shirt with Bobby Jr. and Sophia's face on it. It's got to be a 6X, this shirt. It's the biggest. It looks like a fucking bed sheet.
World's champion dad. So it's for Bacala. She's also watching Robot Wars on TV, which is very bizarre. Like Janice is watching that. It's kind of bizarre.
I got something I got to ask you. It's a little awkward. It's about Ralph. I'm trying to find out about his sex life.
And she wants to be paid to. It's not, first she says, you're asking me to betray a confidence, as if she has some kind of morals. And then it's like, you can buy her morals for $3,000. This is a lot of money for a brother.
And she calls him a scumbag, Ralph. And he says, where'd you come up with that figure? She says, well, that's what I thought you would pay. And she says he bottoms from the top. Tony goes, I don't even know what that means. Nor do I. I didn't know what the fuck. I don't know all these terms. Bottoms from the top. What's that mean?
Well, she defines it as she controls things but pretends he doesn't. So we know that he's a masochist. He wants to be submissive, but he's calling the shots. That's what it is.
Gotcha.
Like he's directing. All this stuff is like scenarios. Like they were acting out being a hooker or whatever, and a pimp. He's getting her to put candle wax. So he's, Valentina, it wasn't her idea to put the cheese grater or put the candle, I'm assuming. So he's kind of directing and writing these scenarios.
And she puts a strap on. Tony says, "What about plain fucking?" She said he doesn't want to, nor could he get off on it.
Right.
Tony doesn't understand a lot.
And that somehow, I think, the idea of that makes him feel kind of justified now, because she figures, well, Ralph wasn't really having sex with her.
Yeah.
So it's okay for me to step in.
Well,
because the next scene we see him in bed with her. And he says, well, I was never hesitating. I just had to get my head into a place where I felt that I could really commit.
Funny.
It's funny.
I just don't know. Like I said, he's got a slew of strippers. He could have sex with any of them or most of them at any time. He's got the stewardess. And then he's got to dabble with these nut jobs. Irina was trouble. Gloria was trouble. This girl is big trouble. I guess he likes. I guess he likes on the edge. He likes the drama. I mean, a lot of guys do. A lot of guys like what they like. I've never been. I've always been drama free. The minute there's something I see I didn't like, I would be out of there.
Life is difficult enough, right?
To me, yeah, I don't like anything.
Something that should be about giving you pleasure and be, a refuge from the world and stuff shouldn't, to make that be the source of further complications and difficulties and problems. Yeah, it's kind of counterintuitive, but psychologically, he's obviously drawn to that.
Absolutely. A lot of guys and girls. They like the drama. They like the bullshit. The guy doesn't show up and then he makes up and all that bullshit. It's like, can't it just be nice? I don't know. Is it ever nice with a Gomara? I think so. I think that's why guys have Gomaras. It's a diversion. I also think that there's a lot of Gomaras are loyal and they'll go to the grave. They'll never give you up. They used to be like that in the old days anyway. Soprano house. Tony goes to get the money out of the bird feeder. He realizes that money is gone. He's stunned. He counts it again. Where could it have gone? He's looking all around over his shoulder.
And he knows how much he put in there, without a doubt.
Oh, yeah.
To the dollar, he knows.
And he's counting it. Green Grove. Cookie, Chucky, and Lorraine talk. Lorraine is Chucky's wife. Chucky's got a broken arm. He's a little bit of a Mama Luke. He's not talking. He's afraid of his mother, Chucky.
And she doesn't give a shit that he got his arm broken by this guy and might get worse if she doesn't help him out. And she kind of doesn't want to.
She's got a warning.
They have to threaten. They threaten to take her out of the Green Grove, put her in the Salvation Army Center.
The mother's very defiant. I'm 84 years old and I earned this. I don't want to have to be nice to someone I don't like. They don't like Nucci for some reason.
She's a downer. She's a drag.
She's a Debbie Downer.
She's a bring down.
Soprano bedroom. Tony finds Valentina's nail on the nightstand with his money and jewelry. Walks downstairs. Carmela's reading the paper. Something wrong, Tony?
This is kind of a baller move by Carmela, right?
Big. Yeah.
She's like, checkmate.
Fucking
so now
right.
She's kind of put him in a corner.
Absolutely. It's a great move. And she's egging him on a little. You sure there's not something you want to talk about?
You okay? Yeah. She's acting like everything's cool. There's not something you want to talk about. She's got him over a barrel, basically. That's it. She can't, he can't really call the bluff there.
He wants decaf. He asks AJ, have you been in the backyard? He said, it's freezing out. The pool guy come around? No. You sure there's not something you want to talk about? And it's a great scene.
Yeah.
No.
It's really
like
good.
What? Great scene. Tony's he knows she did it, but there's still a slight doubt maybe she didn't do it.
But he can't call her on it because she put the nail there, and she's taking responsibility. She's gonna.
And the song, When the Battle is Over, Delaney and Bonnie.
Bonnie and Delaney Bramlett, Bonnie Bramlett. It was a rock soul ensemble that sometimes included the Allman Brothers, Clapton, George Harrison played
Incredible,
with them,
yeah.
Bobby Whitlock. Yeah.
Great song.
When the tears streaming down and there's no one around, and hold your head up high, your deliverance is nigh. Good song.
They never had the commercial success. The two of them, but they were very well respected by so many
everybody,
musicians. Yeah. Great episode. Really, really, really good episode.
Yeah, that's a good one. A lot going on, a lot of good stuff. Well, now it is time for the Talking Sopranos Ask Me Anything segment. The winner of our AMA Best Question of the Week is Phil. Phil is from Rockland, Massachusetts, and we're sending Phil a pair of Bose headphones.
So Phil asks, did you ever witness or act in a scene on The Sopranos that was so emotionally or physically demanding that you or a fellow cast member had to take a break to compose yourself themselves? Thank you for doing this podcast. It has been great so far. Yeah. So what, Phil? You think we're going to fuck up now, huh?
Thanks for off the rails at any moment.
Yeah, Phil. Thanks for having confidence in us, you fuck. So, did you ever act in a scene that was, whether demanding,
anytime the stuff with Christopher and Adriana, when it got violent or physical, that was always very demanding because you got to work yourself up to that place to do this violent thing towards a person you love, and B, you had to be really careful because it's very easy to get hurt on a movie set or TV set, when you're doing this kind of fight choreography, because sometimes it's a matter of inches. If you're throwing a punch, if you're grabbing somebody and slightly off target, and somebody's going to get really hurt. And there was a lot of that between Christopher hitting her, or grabbing her, choking her.
Yeah.
So very often the physical stuff was, and it's, you're in a weird place because you have to get yourself there emotionally, this place of anger and fury where you want to, hurt somebody, kill somebody. And yet you have to be aware of not hurting them. And that's tough. It's not easy. Emotionally, the scene when she reveals she's dealing with the feds. I mean, we spoke about that scene a few times, but it is one of those moments where all bets are off emotionally, and you have to get yourself to a place where the stakes are that high, life will never be the same again, and Mateo was always willing. She's always willing to make the scene great and had a lot of trust in me, and she was very fearless as a performer to go to those places.
Do you find yourself now looking at stuff and saying, how the fuck did I do that? Do you see that?
Watching these shows again, you mean?
Yeah.
There's some scenes where I'll be honest. I mean, just, it's weird talking about your own work that way. There's some scenes I watch and I really like.
Yeah.
Usually it's the more simple stuff that a line here or there, just a reaction, that something about it. And there's stuff I really don't like that I did that I wish I could do again. Hindsight, what does they say? Hindsight is always 20/20 or whatever.
Yeah.
But what about you?
Yeah. I mean, I look at some of this stuff and I go, how the fuck did I do that? And take after take after take. Yeah. And I've done it on other shows too. It's like, how the fuck did I get there? I mean, with all the emotional shit I had on this show. I mean, I look at myself and I don't know what I was thinking about, but I got myself to a place. As far as this, when me and Jim had the big fight scene,
I love that You know, it's great.
Thanks. It was choreographed in Soprano home movies, and I had to grab him and I headbutt him, and Jim didn't move out of the way, and I headbutt him, and I heard his cartilage. At the time, I thought I broke his nose. He went down like a ton of bricks. Boom. I hit him square in the nose, and he went down. And I'm saying to myself, oh, fuck, he's going to get up and really beat the shit out of me. And he went down, and we took about an hour break. And, got his shit back together. They put ice. We finished up for the day because we couldn't get it all done in one day. And he went and broke his cartilage in his nose. And he finished the scene. But that's what happened. Yeah, we had to fucking stop, we had to stop.
Was he in a lot of pain?
He didn't seem like it. He was tough. You know that. He didn't get to show that. He was tough. But we came back. He went to the hospital or the doctor on the way home. And the next day we finished up what we had to do. It took like a day and a half. But, yeah, listen, he's a really strong guy. I'm not in. Back then, I was in better shape. Well, maybe not. Maybe I'm in better shape now, believe it or not. But it was, fucking hard. Two guys. I mean, Jim's a huge, strong guy. You're pushing and pulling and grabbing. So, yeah, that absolutely happened. So,
and you always get a little bit banged up when, even if nobody gets really hurt, and you do everything correctly, you always get banged up and bruised. That's part of it, and you're going to feel it the next day. That's
on Blue Bloods, I had to bend down and take a woman's pulse. Woman was dead, and I had to bend down. All I did was bend down, and I heard something pop in my right knee. My knee blew up. I was fucked up for months.
Wow.
So all I did was bend down. It's just the wrong way. Boom.
Oh, you did it so many times? Or
I did it a few times, and I continue to do it, and I was hurting. But, yeah, that's just it. That's how it goes, I mean, like you said, you get hurt at these things also, But there you go, Phil. It's been great so far. Well, Phil,
you've been great so far, Steve. Yeah. So far.
Michael, you've been so far. Thanks for having the confidence in us, Phil. I really appreciate that. So, thank you. Enjoy your Bose headphones. So thanks for listening. And remember, new episodes are released every Monday. Once again, I'm going to ask you, please subscribe on YouTube. Also, the Talking Sopranos podcast on Apple Music, Spotify, Amazon, wherever you get your podcasts. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram, and like us on Facebook. And right now, you can get official Talking Sopranos merchandise on TalkingSopranos.com or through our YouTube channel.
Our executive producer is Jeff Sussman, producers Andy Verderam. Our music was composed and performed by Elijah Amerton. You can hear more of Elijah's music and the band Zopa, which Elijah and I play in together, by clicking the links on TalkingSopranos.com. Our production crew includes Ty Verderam, Sierra Schirripa. We record Talking Sopranos at NYC Podcasting, which is New York's premier podcasting studio. Talking Sopranos is a Pod Jams production.
Do you know that on the street where the studio is, this is where they shot the feast scene in Godfather 2?
Oh, when
right on this whole block, and
De Niro kills the Don.
Yeah. Right here. This is where all that was down. This is where they marched down and all.
Oh, it wasn't Mulberry Street. It was the East Village where they.
Correct. Yeah. Just so you know. All right, man. Great episode. Good talking to you. And
see you later.
Talk to you soon.